Okay, this is the first video about the Psalms, and I'm going to start with an introduction to the Psalms based on everything I know about it. For one thing, it's split into 5 sections, and they're not 30 chapters each, but there are 150 chapters. 150 psalms. But they're not like 30 psalms each. They're various amounts, but they're 5 books, and I think they just did that for convenience. Some of them are short, and some of them are long. Psalm 119 is the longest, and it's also, interestingly, right in the middle of the Bible. So if you went to the exact middle of the Bible and opened it, you would be in Psalm 119. And as a matter of coincidence, not, that is about the Word of God. So, and it's so long, they had to split it up into alphabets, separate letters. So there's that. And then it was originally written as music. Most of it is music. Sometimes it says a prayer. You can put any of that to music, but it was written as music. And I heard that a recent discovery was that they had something like some kind of Hebrew letters next to each one that was supposed to be musical notes. Something like that. I don't remember the details, but it's musical is the thing. So there's that, and a lot of it was written by King David. Some of it was written by his son Solomon, and then there's somebody named Asaph, Ethan. There's a mention of Moses, something about sons of Korah, and then some are unknown. So so that's it. And so they're written as music, so that's something. And then a lot of it is praises to God, because it is music. It's praise songs, and then their titles of God, attributes of God are mentioned, and a lot of it, I'll show you this over here, for instance. I'll come back there, but in chapter 6, I'm going to make this really big for a minute. See, a prayer of faith in time of distress. It says, to the chief musician with stringed instruments on an 8-stringed harp, a psalm of David. So most of them have a little introduction like this, who it's by, and maybe the instrument, or what the mode of it kind of is, so who it's to, like, to make the music. So there's just a little bit up there like that. So that's just a good example of what's going on here. And some of the other themes are, for instance, since David wrote a lot of this, he based things on what was going on in his life. There were different events in his life. A lot of it was, he would go out with the armies. Actually, as a king, he would do that, and he wanted victory over his enemies, and most of the time he got it, maybe all of the time, but a lot of it is about that, getting victory over the enemies, and then deliverance in general from different problems that were going on in his life. Then there was that time he committed that sin, and he went through a hard time, and so he wrote items based on that, how he was feeling then. So that's the background for a lot of this, and God has used this because so much of it is a type of Jesus. If you read through all of this, you'll see it kind of wavers in and out, but it's like it's coming through prophetically, just overtones of the crucifixion, of what Jesus experienced on the cross and leading up to the cross. So that is what's coming through a lot of the time. And I have a list already that's really long, and I got through chapter 51 so far, and it's already long. But anyway, there are other things, there are other themes as well. There's against oppression, helping the poor is a theme, and just the righteousness of God, those kinds of attributes of God. So there's that. Creation is another theme that comes up a lot. So that's kind of the themes here. These are the themes that are coming up mostly, at least everything I've read so far, and that is what I remember it is. But anyway, that's the setting of this. Okay, so yeah, so that's just the background to this. So what I'm going to do, as usual lately, I'm going to read sometimes the whole psalm, sometimes part of a psalm, sometimes parts I won't go over because it might be just redundant, like it's the same kind of thing I already read. And that happens a lot here. It cycles around a lot. Like most of these are those themes, so it just repeats that again and again. So anyway, that's the intro. So now I'm going to read chapter 1 and chapter 2, and then we'll see how far we are. Okay. I have to go back here. Okay, so Psalms chapter 1. Okay. Blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor stands in the path of sinners, nor sits in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law he meditates day and night. He shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that brings forth its fruit in its season, whose leaf also shall not wither, and whatever he does shall prosper. The ungodly are not so, but are like the chaff which the wind drives away. Therefore the ungodly shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For the Lord knows the way of the righteous, but the way of the ungodly shall perish. Okay, so much can be said about this sitting in the seat of the scornful. I remember other passages, it might be in the Proverbs, where it talks about that, like sitting in the seat of the mockers, and when you look at the world, you see this clearly delineated difference between those, like take any workplace. It can be in high school, it could be a workplace anywhere like that, where I would say the population has to be a certain size for this to really take effect a lot, but for you to notice it at least. But like there are the people who they're not saved, and they show the fallen nature, that depravity. They're the ones snickering, they're the ones mocking, they're the ones scorning, and they're mocking the righteous, they're mocking the Christians. They're the ones that are making the lewd comments and discussing things that are vulgar, I mean, they're the ones that talk about those things that are on a low level. And they they're the ones that are on that side of the bleachers, in on those bleachers. Okay, if they're on that side, they're cheering for sin. They're excited about the next Friday night for the next party, and they're going to be committing all the same vices at that weekend as they were the last weekend. And you know, those people, I mean, you get the idea. I shouldn't have to go into too much detail, but if you are a real Christian, and let's say you're in that same workplace or high school, that's probably one of the most ruthless places for this is high school. It's probably the age too, because they're teenagers. So anyway, but just take a workplace for instance. They will mock that person, they will ostracize that person, they will backstab that person, slander them, just be spiteful to them, sabotage them, do things to make their life hard and not easy, just make fun of them, everything. And it's always going to be concerning the righteousness. It's always going to be like, oh, well, you would know what that is since you don't do that, whatever the thing is, some vice, or, oh, they're too holy for that, that kind of thing. And, I can go on more examples like that, but you get the idea. And if you are in the camp of the saints, that's it. That's where we are. And, oh, well, they can persecute us all they want, but it's not going to change anything. But it is a test as well, because the weaker ones will slip and they'll just start chiming in to fit in, to go along to get along, and they'll laugh at the dirty jokes and, that kind of thing. But there are those, of course, the lukewarm. But then you have others who are unsaved, who they see a righteous Christian and they know, they do respect that person and they do look up to them like, well, you know, that is an honest person. They can trust them. They can ask them for help. They're going to have their best interest at heart, that kind of thing. And it will do good in that way for people who are not as hardened. And they at least have some respect for doing the right thing, for righteousness. And anyway, so that's it. But you see this clear division between these two groups. And this comes up here too quite a bit, that kind of thing in the Psalms, the difference between the righteous and the unrighteous. So just make sure you're always in the camp of the righteous. Don't let anybody tell you, oh, we're just saved sinners, because there is no such thing. You're either saved or you're still a sinner. It's not both. If you're still sinning, like really sinning, you're not saved. Okay? It's not both. So you have to choose one or the other. So, okay, we need to repent. That's part of the gospel. So, all right, now. Chapter 2 is a totally different thing. Chapter 2. This is interesting in a very prophetic way. Here, I'm just going to show you this part. The Messiah's triumph and kingdom, because it does address the span of history from that time on and apply, but as we near the end times, it applies even more and more as the day goes on. It applies even more by the day, okay? Where this is the case. I mean, in the end times now more than ever, when they're trying to put together one world government. So, yeah. Okay, here we go. So buckle your seatbelt. All right, 1. Why do the nations rage and the people plot a vain thing? Like it's meaningless, it's not going to go anywhere. The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, so this is conspiring together, right? Behind closed doors, like meetings, okay? All right. And yes, they happen. Okay. So, and his anointed means the Messiah. That's another messianic title. So this time it's the Father and the Son, okay? His anointed, saying, let us break their bonds in pieces and cast away their cords from us. What this means is they consider it chains that are binding them, that they have to live by any laws of morality. Okay, they just want anything goes. And it's a burden to them to have laws of righteousness. All right, that's what this is about. And if you knew what I knew, you'd know. Okay, so anyway, he who sits in the heavens shall laugh. The Lord shall hold them in derision. This is laughter. Like he's going to laugh them to scorn. Okay? Then he shall speak to them in his wrath, because that's what's coming, and distress them in his deep displeasure. Yet, this is him talking, yet I have set my king on my holy hill of Zion. Okay, so this is the Father talking about Jesus. He is going to rule and reign from the throne in Zion, in Jerusalem, at that time, during the millennium, from that time on. That's who's going to rule and reign. You know, not all these clowns. All right, I will declare the decree. The Lord has said to me, you are my son. Today I have begotten you. And just a reminder, this is the Old Testament, okay? It's right here. Okay. Ask of me, and I will give you the nations for your inheritance, and the ends of the earth for your possession. Okay, so he's going to rule the earth, all of the earth, the Son of the Father, just in case anybody in the back row wasn't paying attention. All right, you shall break them with a rod of iron. You shall dash them to pieces like a potter's vessel. Now, therefore, be wise, O kings. Be instructed, you judges of the earth. Serve the Lord with fear and rejoice with trembling. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry and you perish in the way, when his wrath is kindled but a little. Blessed are all those who put their trust in him. Okay, so that's the end of that one. But yeah, Psalm 2, I mean, it's a happening thing right now. So yeah, okay. How long is this now? 19. Okay, I can squeeze one more in here. The next one I had listed was 15. Here, and these are shorter, you know. Yeah, this is really not long at all. These are short, most of them. Okay, 15. Yeah, this is good. And see here, Psalm of David, right? Okay, Lord, who may abide in your tabernacle? Who may dwell in your holy hill? He who walks uprightly and works righteousness and speaks the truth in his heart. He who does not backbite with his tongue, nor does evil to his neighbor, nor does he take up a reproach against his friend. In whose eyes a vile person is despised, but he honors those who fear the Lord. He who swears to his own hurt and does not change. This means they're faithful and loyal, okay? He who does not put out his money at usury, nor does he take a bribe against the innocent. He who does these things shall never be moved. Okay, so just a little window into that, the character of those who may dwell with the Lord. So, all right. Let's see. Then I have, there's a list of the messianic ones. Well, I'll just do this one. What is it now? 21. Okay. I'll do a couple of these. Okay, 16, verse 10. And these are just random, from that, all the events there of Holy Week. For you will not leave my soul in Sheol, nor will you allow your Holy One to see corruption. This was quoted a lot in the New Testament regarding the resurrection of Jesus, so it's just fulfilled prophecy. So the Psalms does contain prophecy. Like I said, overtones of the crucifixion, only some of it is more specific and obvious than other parts. So 22 is pretty obvious. That's one of those famous ones. Okay, let's see. How long is this one? All right. Okay, I might just do this and then that'll be it for this video here. So it's Psalm 22, and I know I read it when I did Isaiah 53, but I'll read it again. And here, to the chief musician, said to the deer of the dawn. So that must have been a set of musical notes, maybe. A psalm of David. My God, why have you forsaken me? By the way, pretty much the whole thing is prophetic of the crucifixion, but I'm not going to stop at each spot and say this was this and that was that. I mean, you just have to read that and you'll see it there in Matthew and all the Gospels, or watch the videos I did earlier. Okay, so my God, why have you forsaken me? Why are you so far from helping me and from the words of my groaning? Oh my God, I cry in the daytime, but you do not hear, and in the night season, and am not silent. But you are holy, enthroned in the praises of Israel. Our fathers trusted in you. They trusted, and you delivered them. They cried to you and were delivered. They trusted in you and were not ashamed. But I am a worm and no man, a reproach of men and despised by the people. All those who see me ridicule me. They shoot out the lip. They shake the head, saying, he trusted in the Lord. Let him rescue him. Let him deliver him, since he delights in him. Or since he delights in him. Now here, I mean, they both delighted in each other, so I'm not quite sure if it's the Father to the Son or the Son to the Father, but it's both anyway, so What's meant there, I'm not sure that way. Okay, but you are he who took me out of the womb. You made me trust while on my mother's breasts. I was cast upon you from birth. From my mother's womb, you have been my God. Be not far from me, for trouble is near, for there is none to help. Many bulls have surrounded me, strong bulls of Bashan have encircled me. They gape at me with their mouths like a raging and roaring lion. I am poured out like water, and all my bones are out of joint. My heart is like wax, it has melted within me. My strength is dried up like a potsherd, and my tongue clings to my jaws. You have brought me to the dust of death. For dogs have surrounded me, the congregation of the wicked has enclosed me. They pierced my hands and my feet. I can count all my bones. They look and stare at me. They divide my garments among them, and for my clothing they cast lots. I mean, it's straight out of Matthew, you know. But you, O Lord, do not be far from me. O my strength, hasten to help me. Deliver me from the sword, my precious life from the power of the dog. Save me from the lion's mouth and from the horns of the wild oxen. You have answered me. I will declare your name to my brethren. So this is like the turning point, and then, I mean, he dies, but then he rises again, so that's the plan. And that's why he can do this part here. I will declare your name to my brethren. In the midst of the assembly, I will praise you. You who fear the Lord, praise him. All you descendants of Jacob, glorify him. And fear him, all you offspring of Israel. For he has not despised nor abhorred the affliction of the afflicted, nor has he hidden his face from him. But when he cried to him, he heard. My praise shall be of you in the great assembly. I will pay my vows before those who fear him. The poor shall eat and be satisfied. Those who seek him will praise the Lord. Let your heart live forever. All the ends of the world shall remember and turn to the Lord, and all the families of the nations shall worship before you. For the kingdom is the Lord's, and he rules over the nations. All the prosperous of the earth shall eat and worship. All those who go down to the dust shall bow before him, even he who cannot keep himself alive. A posterity shall serve him. It will be recounted of the Lord to the next generation. They will come and declare his righteousness to a people who will be born that he has done this. So, like, the gospel goes all over the world, basically, is what that is. So, yeah, that, put this back, that was Psalm 22. It's, just messianic. It's the whole crucifixion. Well, not all the details, but some of them. So that's right there. And then there's a list of those. So I'm making these separate lists, like regular ones and messianic ones. So I think I will, when I do the next one tomorrow, I'll just do the list of messianic ones, and then I'll just do the others I have on the list that are just other things, just other topics. That's what I'll do. Okay. Yeah. Oh, and I have this list here too, just in case anybody's wondering. Okay, so Psalms 1 through 41 and 51 to 71, 86, 101 to 126. Oh, yeah, to 126, and 128 to 150 were all by David. Okay, so that's a lot. And then we have 42 to 49, 84 to 85, and 87 to 88 were by a group called the Sons of Korah. All right, and then we have 50 was Asaph, and then 72 and 127 was Solomon. So we have King David and his son King Solomon. So he did a couple of these. Oh, yeah, okay. And here 73 to 83 is Asaph again. So 50, 73 to 83, Asaph. 89 is a guy named Ethan. 90, it says Moses, so it must have been really old. 91 to 100 is unknown. But wait a minute, and then there's one, maybe this was 150. Oh, here we go. No, 128 to 150 is David. David did most of them, so he might have done the unknown ones too, 91 through 100. But anyway, these are the, writers of the Psalms then, just so you know. So David, King Solomon, sons of Korah, Asaph, Ethan, Moses, and anonymous, unless it's some of the same people. And that's it. So just wanted to throw that in there. Okay, so that's it for today. So you have a blessed rest of your night, and I'll be back for more tomorrow.